All right, so today we have Allison, and I'll hand it over to her to introduce herself and her role as a caregiver.
Okay. Hi, guys. My name is Allison. I've been a caregiver for 2 years now. My mom was diagnosed about 3 years ago. She was 48 when she was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's. Um, at that time, I was still working. She was still able to stay by herself. Um, and then I would say probably so that was May 2017. 2 years later, so last spring was when we knew someone needed to be with her all the time. We were just getting to that point where she was afraid to be alone, not able to feed herself, like make meals, and she was starting to like leave the house and wander when she would get frustrated. So we decided for me to stay home full time with her while my dad works. Since he's still really young, he can't retire for probably another 5 years. So my husband and I actually, after we got married, we decided to live here. My dad finished the basement, and that's kind of where we are right now. He is a teacher, he works, and I stay home with my mom Monday through Thursday while dad works. So that's kind of, yeah, where we are right now.
Wow, so you've been a caregiver for 2 years.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I
and
guess 3 years and like 1 year full time.
okay. And then
Yeah.
how did you transition from part-time to full-time, I guess? How was that experience like for you?
Um, that was hard just because I was a recent college grad and you just have all these plans to be working full time. I mean, as women this day and age, unless you have children, usually you're kind of expected to work. So that was a hard thing to, it's still hard to adjust to. There's a lot of guilt with that. But I think it was just like I knew that this is what I wanted to do and kind of what I not necessarily had to do. My dad's never said like we have to do this, but I felt that this is where I needed to be right now. So it was definitely an adjustment. Being home every day, I try to keep us both going, getting us off the couch. We do a lot of cleaning and stuff like that, and go out for drives and walks. So yeah, it's definitely been an adjustment, but you kind of just have to learn as you go, I guess.
So would you say that you're the sole caregiver for majority of the time?
Yeah. Yeah. Since my dad does work 40 hours a week, I would say I'm the one here most of the time.
Mm. And then how does task management work in terms of just kind of appointments and just kind of spending time? Is that you would say that that would be majority you taking that role?
Yeah, I do most of the appointments just because, especially for like her primary doctor, he's not in on Fridays, so my dad can't take her to that one. So we kind of split it. I would say I take her to most of the appointments, like her regular doctor. He usually does like the dentist because they're open on Fridays when he's off. So we kind of split that. But I try to do as much as I can through the week, just that way, he's not doing everything on Fridays and Saturdays.
How has current events such as COVID affected your life the past few months?
It's definitely affected it. Health wise, she's definitely still very healthy. She's very active. So we weren't too concerned about, I mean, we were concerned about her getting COVID, but it was more of, okay, if she gets this and it's serious, then what if they don't let us in the hospital with her? She's going to be so confused and scared. So we were really trying to protect her. So that was hard just because she did enjoy going to like the grocery store with me, or her and I would go on like a shopping day. And yeah, she has not been in a grocery store since like the end of February. So that's been tough, but we've just managed with she loves car rides. We go outside a lot. So that's definitely been hard just because it kind of threw us out of that normal routine that we had. And just the fear there too, she's definitely, even though physically she's healthy, she still is considered in that vulnerable population. So yeah, it was definitely hard at first, but we've we've definitely adjusted to this kind of new norm for now.
So what is a huge misconception that people have about caregiving or dementia that you would like to debunk, essentially, just with your experiences the past 3 years?
Hmm. Um, I would say with caregiving, that's a tough one. There's a lot, but yet it's hard to put it into words. Um, I would say that people are surprised by her age. And I think that's been like the biggest misconception just about the disease overall. And as a caregiver, I think that people are surprised that I would take on this role, like my husband and I, whereas I don't know, to us, I guess it was a no brainer. And I think what people don't understand is there's not as many resources out there as people think. Um, yes, you have like home healthcare aides that could come in during the day, but at the same time, depending on the disease that you're dealing with, sometimes that's not always best for the person. That for like my mom as an example, we were afraid that that person would cause, not that they wouldn't be a good caretaker, but that would just cause more fear because she didn't know this person and it would be a new person coming in since we are dealing with Alzheimer's. So I think that just there's not as many resources out there for caregivers, I would say, as what people think. So
Okay. In terms of just you managing yourself, I know you said that you kind of had to put a pause on your life. What would you recommend, or what do you do for kind of self-care? So what do you do to focus on yourself in addition to your mom?
yeah. Well, I always try to take a day. It sounds silly, but I actually enjoy grocery shopping. So since my dad does work Monday through Thursday, I kind of take Fridays. That's a me day. I go get our groceries. And then usually on like Saturday or Sunday, my husband and I will go somewhere. We try to keep it balanced. It's very hard. It's that kind of that pull, I guess, every time you leave the house. There's that guilt, like I need to be home, I need to let dad do stuff, but then I'm sure he feels the same way when he's not home. So, but yeah, I just try to at least take a day a week and kind of go run around and do my own thing or spend time with my husband in the evenings. So,
Mm, that's nice. What would you recommend for somebody who was in your place 3 years ago? What, like, for example, what 3 lessons would you recommend to someone?
3 lessons. Well, the first one would be to give yourself grace because this is all new. Um, Everybody's experience is different. I've definitely learned that just from connecting with people on Instagram. I've met a lot of people whose family members have Alzheimer's at a young age, but the disease still takes a different course for every single person. So, yeah, definitely grace because you're going to learn as you go. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to get frustrated as a caregiver, but that's just kind of how it goes in this journey. Um, what would be another one? Definitely the me time. You have to do it. You have to put time aside for yourself. I don't like to do it sometimes. I'm I feel guilty when I do it, but it's definitely necessary. That's just going to be what makes you a better caregiver is when you prioritize yourself as well. And let me think of a third one. Um, Ask for help. For sure. Ask for help. I couldn't do this alone. I'm lucky. Like I said, I have my husband, my dad. We have other family members that help. I have amazing friends who are there, even if like they can't physically help with the caregiving, they're there for me to talk to. So definitely reach out to people and talk to them and see how, everyone can help each other. So definitely lean on others.
Okay. And I know you mentioned obviously that your mom was diagnosed when she was 47 or 48. So obviously you were a young caregiver. How has that been for you in terms of the caregiving space?
Um, that's been different just because we, especially with being a newlywed, um, just when you're in your early 20s, this big roadblock came and just didn't expect for um, this to happen. So we kind of had to learn how to be newlyweds and be caregivers at the same time and kind of learn how to navigate our new situation, whereas our friends were buying houses and having children and that kind of thing. So being a younger caregiver, there's definitely, I think, more to figure out. You often hear about caregivers are usually, not always, but they're in that stage where usually their kids are grown. So it's very different to be on the opposite side of that with before children, or even the sandwich generation, I guess you could say, that are taking care of younger kids too. So that's definitely, it's an adjustment, I would say, because like I said, there's not many resources out there for those of us who are younger and caregiving. So hopefully that answered your question. I kind of got off track there.
Um, what would you say to make your life a little bit easier? Have you been using any specific tools, whether that's technology or not technology, just to kind of make the whole caregiving process a little bit more organized, or I guess just easier in general?
Yeah, I wouldn't say any, just like little things. I set an alarm for everything, multivitamins, my mom's medicine, my just what I need to have an appointment reminder. So I have like 8 alarms set on my phone a day. So that's been helpful because otherwise I would forget a lot of stuff. Um, but yeah, other than that, I wouldn't say, nothing comes to mind that I've really dove into looking into as far as technology to kind of help the process. Just the little things here and there, like having an alarm clock on your phone is nice, and that kind of stuff to keep us on track.
If you were to wish for something, whether it exists or not, what would you want to have right at this moment to kind of help you? What do you think? Have you ever thought about that? Like, have you ever been like, oh, I wish I had this right now. This would make my life a little bit easier. Is there anything that you can think of in terms of what would make your caregiving experience just, again, a little bit easier?
Yeah. I think, honestly, I think more and we're kind of getting to this now with COVID, but just more appointments online through like FaceTime would be so nice. Um, just because it is a struggle to take her to a doctor's appointment, or just to like, I took her to the eye doctor the other day. Just it would be nice if, I know that would be a hard one, but if there was some way to do it where there's not all those other people around and like that overstimulation. Um, like I said, I feel like we are kind of getting to that now with COVID. You see a lot of doctors' offices going online, but that would just be really nice because she does do well with crowds, but at the same time, when all those voices are around her, that can be overstimulating and just kind of make the process harder. But other than that, I guess I've never really thought about it too much. Technology is a wonderful thing, I will say that. But yeah, I'm not, I'm trying to think of anything and I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, that's super helpful. I don't think anyone has really mentioned that aspect. And I guess COVID would be a blessing in disguise in that aspect, in the terms of just like the health tech world,
Yeah.
kind of shifting everything online. It was always said that, oh, we can't do that because of X, Y, and Z, but
Yeah.
clearly it is possible. You just need
Yep.
to think about it, I guess.
Yep.
um, so I guess that's good. In terms of social media, do you use social media to kind of engage with other caregivers, or do you use social media to gather information or experiences from other people? What role does social media play in your life as a caregiver?
As a caregiver, social media is huge to me. About a year, and I would say a year and a half ago, I started an Instagram called Mom Memories and Me, and it has been wonderful. At first, at the beginning of this caregiving experience, you think, I'm alone in this. There's no one else my age who has gone through this. And I quickly found that that was not the case. So through that Instagram, I've connected with people who have parents who have Alzheimer's, or just they're a caregiver in general for a parent or a loved one who has a numerous illnesses. So it's been wonderful just knowing that there's others out there, kind of getting their ideas on things, how they kind of do their daily routines. There's been so much of that I've learned through it and in connecting with people on there. So yeah, I would say social media has been a huge part since this started, and it's helped me a ton, for sure.
So what kind of content would you like to see on social media? So as a company, we are trying to not only create this application for caregivers, but be a platform for caregivers. So we've been posting different snippets of different caregiver interviews, and we've recently started this initiative called Caregiver Insight, where we're hoping to gather information on, for example, topics like self-care, personal growth, what to expect, and kind of create, maybe like merge all of the different snippets from everybody into one. Do you appreciate, for example, like video content from other caregivers? Do you appreciate quotes? What kind of things would you like to see as a caregiver moving forward?
As a caregiver, I would say video content's really good. Just hearing other caregivers talk about their experience and kind of how their days go and what they have found to be helpful for themselves and also the loved one that they're caring for. So I think the videos or snippets are a good idea just to kind of get their take on it. Trying to think of what else. Sorry, I haven't had enough coffee today, apparently. But
so going back to
yeah,
the video, just as like a caregiver on Instagram or a caregiver on Facebook, do you appreciate long informative videos? So long videos, for example, on self-care, like for example, it could be like 20 minutes, or do you appreciate like a 1 minute tidbit on self-care? Like which one would you engage more with, just as a human being on social media as well as a caregiver? Because we have all this content now. We've interviewed over 20 caregivers and people in the space, but we just don't know how to consolidate that information. We're kind of brainstorming different ideas. So right now we're kind of debating on individual videos, like quick snippets or long ones. We're not sure what people want, so I guess this is just my way of asking you, what would you like?
I think shorter is in a way better for me, because especially during the day when I am with mom, I'm not going to take the time to sit down, and even though I am on my phone a lot, I'm not going to sit through a 20-minute video. So I think like 1 to 5 minutes is really good, because I can stick my headphone in while I'm making us lunch or something like that and kind of get that take from another caregiver. So yeah, I would say kind of the shorter the better. Like 1 to 5 minute is a good one for me. Like not too short where you're not getting all the information, but also not too long where I'm gonna have to wait till like nighttime when I can actually sit down and watch the whole thing. So I think shorter.
That's very informative. Thank you. Because we were definitely thinking of putting up all, like, for example, the little self-care tidbits from 15 caregivers into one video and creating a self-care video. But just even me, I'm like, am I going to sit through a 20-minute video? Really?
Exactly. Yeah. I just think if it were, 3, 4, 5 minutes, I'm going to be like, oh, okay, I have time to watch this, stick the earbuds in and listen to it real quick before I go on to the next thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then what kind of accounts do you currently follow? So we're still looking to connect with other prominent figures. The thing is, being not caregivers ourselves, we can really only identify people through like hashtags, or just like if they have dementia or if they have something in their bio or in their handle. So I was wondering, you don't have to say it within this call, but if you're willing, we would really appreciate just like a list of people that we can contact and just gather more information from them. We would definitely appreciate that.
Okay. Yeah. And you said, would that be something I could send to you? Or
Yeah. So I can send,
okay.
if you're able to, we would really
Yeah,
appreciate it, because I think
absolutely.
we're kind of, I think, reaching maybe like a plateau in the amount of people that we're able to find, but we also know that we're probably not using the right search terms maybe, or
Yeah,
we are
sure.
not necessarily communicating with the right people. We don't want to completely end this initiative. We think that this has been so informative,
Yeah,
and we would love to keep connecting with people. We just need to make sure we connect with the right ones.
yeah, definitely. I can definitely do that.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so I think our final question or final thing would be, um, what would be one of the biggest challenges that you faced throughout your caregiving experience, and essentially how did you, or have you come up with a way to kind of deal with it, or are you still struggling to find like essentially the solution?
Yeah, I would say the hardest thing through this caregiving experience, and of course it's going to be different for everyone depending on what their loved one has, but with Alzheimer's, it's just been that we're grieving as we're caregiving. And that's definitely been something that we've all struggled with. And I think I'm continuing to struggle with it, but working on it. Talking to a professional about it has been wonderful. I just started that, and I think that's going to help me as we move forward. But for my particular situation, I would say just being grieving a person that you're caring for is it's very different. That's definitely been very hard. So yeah, that would be mine, I would say.
Hey, well, thank you so much for taking the time
Yeah,
today and actually giving us
yeah.
so much insight. We're definitely are going to be using your insight, and we'll definitely contact you again to
Okay. Yeah,
hopefully
sorry,
help
I'm not the
with
best
that.
interviewer.
No, this
I'm
is
always
perfect.
nervous. So like I feel like I just blank. So
No, this
when
is
I get
amazing. We want the spontaneous, like like intuitive answers. We want what you
yeah,
genuinely think. We do not want a scripted thing. We're not looking to
I
um
love that.
we want, like I said, we want just genuinely what you think so that we can create the best application or be the best advocate for caregivers.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I love it. I love everything that you guys are doing for sure.